Hi everybody and welcome to Cabaret Secrets. This is Gary Williams and today I'm joined by Pete Rogers, musical director, been working on ships for around about 15 years. Hi Pete, welcome to Cabaret Secrets.
Hi.
So tell me, as a musical director, the kind of acts that you like to work with, the kind of acts that you look forward to playing for.
People that have got good charts, people where it's a good show where there's not too much chat between numbers. You know, how can a 22-year-old have anything to say about their life that's of interest to a 75-year-old audience? But purely from a musical point of view, good, clean charts that work, that are well arranged, and I think that's absolutely the most important. The most important thing is invest in charts. Spend a lot of money getting a decent arranger to get some charts that are guaranteed to work, because you don't know what kind of band you're going to get. It could be Polish, Russian, American, English, and different bands have different skills of reading and interpretation, can I say. So the more clean and obvious they are, the better. I was talking to one of the other acts that's been on board about click tracks the other day as well.
Should I explain for people listening if they don't know, click track is where the band wear headphones and in one of the channels, the left or the right channel, there's literally a click, 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 click going to keep them in time, and while they play the music that's written, there simultaneously is sort of the rest of the band or part of an orchestra playing in the house as well, so it just makes the whole thing sound really big, but it sounds like it's all real, sounds like it's all being played live to the audience.
In theory, yes.
Right.
Or sometimes you can just get a click track that has no backing track, that it's just literally a pulse. And I suggested to this...
Why is that?
Just if something's very slow, like really slow.
And the tempo can waver, the act is worried that the tempo will get faster.
For instance, if you're backing maybe a magician that knows that or a juggler, where something takes a set amount of time and it has to be absolutely cued perfectly, then some of them think, well, I don't know what band I'm going to get. It's safer if I bring a click track.
So what are your feelings about click tracks? I'm not sensing very positive.
I mean, mixed, obviously, I'd rather be doing as many shows as possible, as live as possible. I mean, that's
why?
Because I think that's the way it should be done. That's the way it always was done before. And if you've got the right quality of musicians, you should be able to do that. I appreciate that these days there are different technical and production values that make that very difficult to achieve. But I think most musicians probably would prefer.
What is it that makes a click track not enjoyable to use for a musician?
It's well, it depends on the quality of the click track, of course, but it can be a bit of an encumbrance, wearing something in your ear while you're playing. It's not the most comfortable thing.
I would imagine it's more of a free sort of I don't know what's the word, creative experience for the band if they're not using a click track, that they can just concentrate on reading the charts and making the music. Yeah,
that's a good point. On the other hand, of course, there are instances where it helps a great deal. Going back to the violinist that I was talking to you about just now, who played a number of very slow numbers, I mean, where we're talking about 48 beats per minute, for instance, as a piano-playing MD who directs primarily through nodding. I can't be waving my hands all the time because I'm using them to play the piano. To be constantly nodding 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 throughout the whole of a slow number, that would have been facilitated a great deal by having just the click and somebody maybe speaking over it at the tempo changes, and the rals.
So for any act that's considering using click tracks, they should really think about if they really need to have them. Do they really need them before they just go ahead and get them done?
Yeah, and when you do get it done, make sure that the count is very clear and that it's in all the right places, at the top of the chart, at the end of the chart. Any tempo changes, accelerandos, rallentandos, etc., etc.
So the key is to use whoever's doing your click tracks for you, someone that's used to making them, has done plenty of them before, and knows the tricks to make sure they get right.
Yeah.
Going back to musical arrangements, why? I mean, obviously it's good to have clear charts, but to have, does it make a real big difference to you if someone's Can you see if someone's invested real money in their music?
Yeah, especially when you've got a band with several horns in it. The rhythm section usually doesn't make that much difference because we play more chords than notes. As a piano player, as a bass player as well, and obviously drum charts are something of a completely different to anything else. But horns, if you've got 3, 4, 5 horns, then the way they're arranged makes a big difference. I mean, it's not just the case of taking the first trumpet part from a big band arrangement of something and saying, oh, that will work, because it's not the same without the other 3 trumpets.
Do you find there are a lot of acts these days that have poor charts, or are most of them really good, or somewhere in the middle?
Again, mixed. I mean, some of them you can just turn up at 5 o'clock and play through everything the first time, no problem at all. Other people, you have to rewrite them on the spot. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do that number in the show. And somewhere in the middle of that, there is an average where most of them will work, and they're covered with scribbles from the last 25 years or whatever.
As an MD, you get to obviously watch what a lot of artists are doing, and you see which shows work and you see which don't work so well. So thinking more from an audience perspective, what kind of acts do you think work the best on cruise ships?
In my experience, and I have to agree, there's probably the acts that I enjoy most as well, other than pure music acts. I would say probably singers who do impressions. Yeah. I don't know if I can mention any names. Alan Stewart.
You're great.
Mike Doyle for British passengers. A guy called Joey Van I worked with on American ships. Fantastic show. Where somebody who can sing really well, who's got good charts, where there's a bit of repartee going.
With the band or the audience?
Well, with the band and the audience. And little bits and pieces, impressions of different singers, and good solid links. So the show flows, and there's nothing unnecessary there.
And these are the acts that you see work best, not just that you like, but that the audience like the best as well.
I think so, yeah.
Which kind of acts do you see that don't do so well? And now you can't mention any names, but you can give us broad descriptions.
Yeah, I think anybody who knows me that listens to this will know who I'm talking about instantly when I say multi-instrumentalists that aren't. Especially when you add bagpipes to the mix.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more in terms of the people listening to this, particularly singers that are listening to this, the kind of thing that they should avoid doing in their act, they should do more of or less of in their act, based on what you've seen audiences respond well to.
Yeah, musically, obviously there's a lot of cliches that your typical girl singer, and I'm putting my fingers around imaginary quote marks, do. We don't really want to be doing Wind Beneath My Wings again, and I Will Survive.
But do we not really? I know for you and I, because we've seen it so many times, you think, oh God, it's a big groan. But it's like I sing My Way all the time, and for years I stopped doing it. I stopped doing My Way in New York in my act. I thought, God, everyone's heard these songs so many times. I hear them on the ship almost every night as I'm walking in one of the lounges. Somebody's doing this. Do they really want to hear me doing it? And so I stopped doing it. But I find that they do want to hear it. The reaction speaks for itself, and the act is stronger putting them in than it was with them out, even though I put alternate strong songs in their place.
Well, you may have a point there. It depends on the age of the singer, maybe, because a lot of times younger singers come on board. Maybe they've come from a production cast and they've taken the next step up to the show, and they choose material that maybe isn't completely suitable for them. It should be sung by somebody older with a bit more life experience. It's difficult to stand up and sing a song that tells about all the lovers you've had over countless of years when you're like 19.
Yeah. And well, these 19-year-olds.
And by the same token, you haven't actually got very much to tell the audience about your life so far either, have you? I'd like to, before I do the next song, I'd like to tell you a bit about myself. I've just finished a contract on the blah, blah, blah. And before that, I went to acting school, dance school, singing school, or whatever. There you go.
It's not very interesting, is it? A little personal history lesson. Yeah. And in those cases, if someone is doing an act and they haven't really got much life experience, do you think they should just get on and just sing more songs?
Yeah, that's usually the reaction I get around the ship listening to people. Oh, she was a lovely girl. She should have sung a few more songs. I think that's a very common mistake. So
I think
it could be nerves that causes that.
And any advice that you would give to people that are starting out first time, other than charts, when they first come onto a ship or they haven't even performed, really done their act anywhere before, and they're doing it for the first time on a ship, just to get through the rehearsal, for example, and to get through their first show?
Yeah, I mean, it's have respect for the other people on stage, because we're doing it every night, and the sound and light guys, they've been doing it a long time probably as well. It's very important. It's a team effort, even if it is you that is getting the big bucks and the headlines. It's a product that everybody's involved in producing. So just expect that people can do their job to a reasonable level, and hopefully they can.
So do you find that the good acts change their act depending on where they're going? Or is it more a matter of they try and book the right act for the right ship at the right time of year?
I think the really good acts don't need to, because it covers everything. The Alan Stewarts that I've mentioned, you could put him on any ship that I've worked on, and he would go down a storm. And even with American passengers, British passengers, the same. The good acts that are just a little bit down from that level will probably adapt their material slightly, given the audience.
Any more advice for anybody starting out?
Just remember that when you come to a cruise ship, you have to live with these people as well.
The guests you're talking about?
The guests, yes. And that's a bit of a weird situation at first. A lot of people just lock themselves away in their cabin and you never see them apart from at showtime. Whereas other people are, sociable and go and play bridge with them. But yeah, think carefully about it. Spend money on good arrangements. And best of luck.
Thank you for listening to this Cabaret Secrets podcast. If you've got any comments or questions, please visit cabaretsecrets.com, where you'll also find details of the Cabaret Secrets book, an indispensable guide on how to create your own show, travel the world, and get paid to do what you love.